Oh hey, it's Emily, and today I would like to talk about just a list of books that I really would like to prioritize in 2021. Really, my priority is to get my physical TBR down. I've done a really good job of that this year, and I would like to hopefully continue that next year. So really part of what I'm prioritizing is just the remaining things on my physical TBR. But you know, it was actually really fun to look back at this video from last year, which is part of why I wanted to do it again. It was just fun to look back at that list and realize that I actually read most of the ones that I said on that list because, well, I was excited about them, so it makes sense. And the two that I wasn't able to, I think were for very specific reasons. So I'll first talk about the two that I couldn't quite get to from last year's list. First one is Eliza and Her Monsters by Francesca Zappia. So the reason I didn't get to this one is because I really want to read it physically. So this one follows a high school online comic creator and someone who does some fan art, or you know, fan fiction maybe, of that webcomic series. And so it's a very visual thing. I'd like to read it physically, and I just didn't happen to bring that book with me when I was leaving my apartment and came home during the pandemic. So I want to get to that one. I was really excited about it, and I still am. I also put Priory of the Orange Tree on that list, and again, that was one that I only had a physical copy of as of when I was leaving my apartment. And so, yeah. But I since have been able to get the audiobook and the ebook as Kindle Audible were having sales. And so I can get to that. I plan on getting to that early next year in January probably. I have plans to get to that, and I actually can get to it since I have the ebook and the audiobook. So that'll happen. This one just follows, it's a fantasy standalone that follows a world where there's kind of an east and a west, and they both have different relationships to magic and dragons, and I've heard it's just a huge political fantasy that's amazing. So excited about that. The first thing that's new on my list is the Grishaverse. So I have the first book in the Grisha trilogy. I also have the first book in the Six of Crows duology. So I have two random books from this world that are kind of the first books in their respective parts of the Grishaverse. And so I just want to see if this universe is for me. I don't really even have a full synopsis of just the overall universe, but just know that I'm excited to dive in and see what I think. The next one is cheating. Sorry, not sorry. I'm gonna link another video below, or link a video below. I'm gonna link my my climate fiction list that I would like to get to. I made a video about what climate fiction I would like to get to. I've only read one of those books, but I really want to prioritize my climate fiction next year. And if you want to get a sense of what's on that list, I didn't pick a particular one that I want to prioritize, I just in general want to prioritize it. So I'll link that video below. And yeah, you can go there if you are curious about the climate fiction that I would like to read and which books are on that list. The next one that I'd like to get to is the Illuminati Files. So this is a really cool series, or I'm just so intrigued from what I've heard. It's a mixed, or presented in mixed media, and follows a world at war, and there are people trying to escape, and they're communicating between different ships trying to escape, and I don't know, I'm just super intrigued by this series. This is by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. I only have the first one, but I'm very excited to both physically read it and listen to the audiobook at the same time. I've heard that that's a really cool way to read these, so very excited to do that. I also would love to prioritize the Study in Charlotte series. I've tried 2 falls in a row to get to this series, and it just hasn't quite happened, but I'm very intrigued. It follows the descendants of Sherlock and Watson, and Charlotte Holmes is Sherlock's descendant, and her friend Jamie, I believe, is John Watson's descendant. And so it just follows them in present day. I think they're at school, maybe at a university, I'm not sure, but they're in some sort of school setting and they solve mysteries. I'm very excited, so I really want to prioritize that. The other things that I would like to get to include a couple of next books in series from what I read this year. So I really want to get to Hollowpox. My library for some reason has the audiobook of the first 2, but has not yet acquired an audio copy of the third one, and it's not on Scribd. And so I think I'm just going to use an Audible credit to get Hollowpox. I've adored the audiobooks so far, but literally my library just does not have an ebook or audiobook copy of this third one for some reason, and I'm very sad about it. But I would like to prioritize, even if I have to use an Audible credit, I'm going to listen to Holopox because I absolutely adore the Nevermore series by Jessica Townsend. Follows a young girl who is cursed and supposed to die on her 11th birthday, but she is instead whisked away to the magical land of Nevermore to see if she can become part of the Wondrous Society, and it's just the most whimsical, wonderful, delightful, heartwarming, just pure magic ever. So I want to get to the third book. I also want to get to This Virtual Night by C.S. Friedman, and I read This Alien Shore this year before I realized, and This Alien Shore was published I think in '98, and I read This Alien Shore before I realized that she randomly is publishing a companion novel, I think, to This Alien Shore, and just, it happened this year, you know, what, like 22 years later from whenever it was published, a long time after the first one was published. And I was so excited that I just happened to get into the series as a companion novel was being released, and so I'd like to get to that one. I might also use an Audible credit to get the audiobook. I listened to this one on audio as well and thoroughly enjoyed the audiobook, so I might do that. And the last thing on the list is a potential. We'll see. We'll see. So I obviously love huge fantasy series, and it's good to know and start one that I know is finished, that I can just kind of get into the world and know that there's going to be more of that world waiting for me just whenever I can next get to it, and that I don't necessarily have to wait for publication. And I do have the first 3 of the Wheel of Time series by Robert Jordan, finished by Brandon Sanderson after Robert Jordan passed away. But it's a commitment. It is a commitment. Not one that I'm quite sure I'm willing to make, but I think that's one of the few ones that I have physical copies of where I know this series is finished, it's out there, and I can just kind of dive in. And I do have some more series that are like that, but for the most part, that was kind of one of the top ones that I thought about. That's a potential, but again, it's a commitment, so I'll consider this an honorable mention of, like, maybe I can get to it in 2021 or start it in 2021. We'll see. So anyway, those are some books that I would love to get to in 2021. Let me know what your list looks like and what you'd like to get to next year. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe for more bookish content. I will leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I like to hang out. I also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.